Hey basketball coaches, today I'm going to talk to you about a very advanced strategy that I would really only try at the high school level or higher. So if you're a high school coach, this is definitely a strategy that has worked for me and can also destroy teams and help you as well. So basically what we're trying to do is to turn a horns offense into a 5-out. Now, how I used to like to run this is I'm a triangle and a 5-out coach. Those are the two offensive strategies that I absolutely love. And from there, I would go from a triangle offense into a 5-out. And you can do the same with a horns to a 5-out. And that's what we're going to really talk about today. Now, why would you want to go horns to 5-out? The reason why you would want to do this is usually in general, horns offenses are usually only really good against man-to-man defenses. Yes, there are strategies when you can use it against the zone, but when you switch an offensive structure against the zone, it really does mess them up, especially if you go into a 5-out because you're stretching out the defense. So that's what we're going to really talk about today. Let's get down to the clipboard and let's check this out. Okay, so let's say we are in our horns offense and we automatically or all of a sudden see, oh, they actually are not playing a man where they're playing a zone. Well, what you want to do is, of course, you could run a simple horns offense that can run against zones. One being a screen up top for player 1. Player 4 rolls towards the paint. You pass him the ball quickly to draw up player 5. That way you can kick it over to player 5 as a bounce pass or an alley-oop. That's a very simple play that you can run against a zone that will absolutely destroy them. But if you see them switch into a zone halfway through your offense, or if you just all of a sudden say, oh crap, they're in a zone, and you don't have any thoughts in mind as a point guard or whoever to run a simple play like that, you can switch into a 5-out, and you can, as a coach, explain this to your players. And I don't just mean pop those players out, and now you have a 5-out. That's the easy way of doing it, but you really want to do a quick play into it to really actually confuse them. So what we're going to be doing here instead is to have player 5 set a screen for player 1. Of course, these players are usually going to be having player 5 a bit higher, 3 and 4 usually a bit in, maybe a bit higher. And you're going to be having a double team up top because that's their two zone areas. And of course, right in the middle is the double team location. So we're going to have a screen by player 5, and we're going to be having player 4 setting a screen down for player 2 on player 4 red. Player 1 is going to use 5 as a screen, and we're going to be having 5 roll towards the basket, and at the same time having player 2 pop up. Now, why is this beneficial? Well, for number 1, player 1 really wants to get to player 1 blue because, of course, he doesn't want any shots, and now this has also created a huge gap he needs to close because that's in his zone. So what's going to happen is that's going to raise up player 3 away from the key because he wants to cut off that pass to player 3 blue. We're going to have player 1 trying to fight through. Meanwhile, we're having player 5 roll towards the basket. We're having player 2 also cutting up, and he's going to be going to the point. That way, if player 2 red sagged down just too far, we have a couple of different options here. We have player 5 who may have a clean open lane towards the basket. If he doesn't, and player 5 red got down in time, then we may have a pass over to player 3 who could hit that 3-point shot. We may also have now a pass over to player 2 who may also have a 3-point shot as an option. Now, after this screen, I would want player 4 to really pop out towards the wing. Now, there's a reason for this. So, of course, we're going to have player 2 red recover to that player. We're going to have a quick swing after this screen. We want to have a quick swing out to player 4. And if player 2 doesn't get that ball right away, I would like to see player 4 stay there until player 2 gets that ball, and then he can pop out and receive that pass. Because meanwhile, player 5 is cutting towards the rim. Because there's nobody to cover player 4, we now have a team that's basically, hopefully at least, going out of their way to try and cut off any of the gaps in their zone. And when that happens, what we see now is player 5, he's going to be not going to the post. We don't want him covered by player 5. What we want to see, of course player 5 is going to be coming down, is player 5 is going to be popping out towards the wing. Now, of course, if your player 5, if your center is able to shoot a 3-point shot, and hopefully every single one of your players on your team has confidence to shoot it, not necessarily a high percentage, but confidence is key, then he could drain that 3 or at least attempt to take it. But what we do see, especially at the high school level, especially with teams that do not get trained properly or not coached properly, is you're going to see player 5 go out of his way to then to go and defend player 5's shot, which is now opening up a massive hole in the middle of their zone. And if this happens and none of these 3 players had a 3-point shot to take, you now have one player who may have now finally smartened up to come down towards the low post to literally cover the key on 2 players. Now you're probably saying, well, you shouldn't be doing any cross-court passes. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is for player 1 to attack the high post on this side and player 3 to do the exact same. That way, you now have 2 players who are behind the players who are supposed to be guarding those spots, and player 5 has an option to pass down to player 3 or over to player 1 for a shot. Now, really, he would be the number 1 option in this point. Really quickly, if you want to have the full complete guide of the 5-out basketball offense, make sure to go check the description below. I've got a complete guide down there. I hope that this video helps your team win more games. If it does, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.